Hello and welcome. It's Monday afternoon, evening, whatever. And Patrick's here with me, and we've got a couple more people with us. And we are here to rewrite queries live and to raise money for reproductive rights because nobody should be legislating what I do with my body.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to be. It should be a thing that happens automatically.
Right.
Yo.
Like water is pretty cheap, so should everything else be. That was a good sentence. At least it ended in a verb.
I
So
mean,
first up we have.
it's not
Go
a
ahead.
sentence unless it has a verb. I understand.
Yes. Okay. So first off, we have a nonfiction query. I have, in about the next week or so, I will find out that I have helped my 10th person get a book deal or get an agent or a publisher with fiction. Nonfiction, I don't have as much success with. So this is going to be interesting. But I have done a lot of homework for this. And I have a very big change you're going to make to this, Brian. These things are almost always first person. This is a very easy change to make. You could probably replace most instances of Brian with me or I.
So Patrick is going to take off his headphones and I'm going to read it aloud for those of you following along who are listening in rather than watching. So the initial draft goes, Dear Agent, Carol, the college chaplain, had some advice for Brian in May of 1987, the end of his junior year. Have you thought about coming out just to yourself? Crying in a Foreign Language, The Deity That Answered My Plea is a 72,000-word memoir that combines a life in and out of closets with glimpses into the culture and history of queerness in both the US and Japan. This memoir will appeal to those who struggle in the closet. Fans of writers like Lauren Huff, Leaving Isn't the Hardest Thing to Do, 2020, will find more to love. It will also appeal to fans of Japan and travel, including readers of Harmony Becker, Himawari House 2021, and of Callum McSwiggan, Eat, Gay, Love 2021. Brian also treads new ground, shedding light on a queer past through the cultures he consumed in both the United States and Japan. At the age of 21, Brian struggled to admit his homosexuality. His persistent desire for sex with other men had started in 1978, shortly after puberty began. Despite that, he assumed a magical switch would flip. He would marry as he knew his mother and deceased father wanted. His decision to come out to himself, his friends, his parents took place against the growing threat of HIV-AIDS in the 1980s. With a fledgling pride came fear, and Brian fled the United States to Japan. For 10 years thereafter, he inhabited a Japan where closets were professional necessity. Sex came easy, but most Japanese men were only curious, and second dates were rare as a result. When Siganuma, Brian's first lasting relationship, confessed an HIV positive status, Brian faced a difficult choice. Brian's essays and book reviews have appeared in Brevity's online blog and in Hippocampus magazine. He is also the author of an article on marriage equality in the United States and Japan for Jets on Japan magazine. Best, Brian Watson. So, and
that signal received.
Signal received. So it sounds like an awesome story. I may have read one or two memoirs in similar veins, but obviously not your story. So obviously Patrick is going through and putting it in that first person that was suggested.
It would be lovely to hear what you thought was similar, in case I can comp them.
I think it's too old. I read it in 2019.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's
It was pre-pandemic.
Yep.
Sorry. Your comps were very timely, and I thought that was a really strong suit that you had in there. And definitely establishing the fact you had a platform is from what I've heard really instrumental in getting attention and proving that you have an audience in nonfiction.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of rejections for nonfiction. Hey, this is great, but you have no platform. I will tell you, my sister. Let me actually look at her at this because I'm pretty sure I follows. Sister published 2 nonfiction books. Do not applaud.
Patrick, I have a question on comps.
I have an answer. Yeah.
Do agents prefer will appeal or should appeal, or does it matter?
So I have 12 in my compendium. It's the thing there with the weakness in the verb. I don't think it really matters.
Okay.
And honestly, if it is going to say no based on that, okay. So my sister has 6,000 followers on Twitter. You see how many she has on Instagram because not think you have to sell. You have to have platform. In almost every case.
Right.
I know she's on. Let's see if I can find out.
I have 10,000, but
like okay, she has 17,000 followers on Instagram.
There you go.
So that's 20,000 people, 23,000 on 2 platforms. I'm gonna see on Facebook. We're actually we're friends. My point is, if you don't have a platform, selling nonfiction is a lot harder.
Memoirs are hard.
On Facebook, where I think the limit is 5,000, unless you're like you have a page, and then it's whatever. You can have millions. So she got a book deal from a religious press that I had heard of for other reasons. And a lot of the her book sales are people who know her, and thus are going to be like, oh, that's my friend's thing. I'm going to buy it. So I think you had 800 on Twitter.
Me? Yes. 850.
Yeah, that's going to be so. To an extent, there are agents who will look at your proposal and look at how much of a fault you have and see you don't have 20,000. Be like, okay, great idea. Go build an audience. You can do that by. I'm not going to use the words I would normally use, but Writer's Lift can help you with that. It is incredibly vacuous. It is incredibly simple-minded. But if you just sit there on Twitter for like a month and do Writer's Lift, you will build a following people who do not know who you are.
Another way that I found to find other people to follow that aren't just bots is Twitter pitch parties. I don't expect to get an agent through it, but it's a great way to see who's writing stuff I like and who might be at my same level, who might be a good comp partner. And I follow tons of people, and most of them follow me back because they're writers trying to create a platform. And so even if there's not a recent pitch event, you can go back and but comment on their thing. Oh, that sounds really neat. I'm doing something similar or whatever, and follow them and get some follow backs, because the easiest way to get followers on Twitter is to follow someone else. Most people follow back automatically, and the people who don't, just check your feed to make sure you're not spam and then follow back.
Right. Yeah. That's what I do.
I have done the harder road here of not doing that because I think most book ideas are expressed terribly. In my defense, most of them are. So I have gotten 3,700 followers in a year and change by being helpful.
It also helps to really denigrate other writers when you don't like romance or fantasy or science fiction.
Well, I would never denigrate another writer. On Twitter, no.
You're not that one guy that we're not going to name because. Okay. Okay, let's see.
I keep trying to convince one of my friends that the best way to sell his book is not to say it's not that military sci-fi stuff.
Okay.
Say what it is, not what it's not. But you're not doing that. I'm just sorry. Okay. Having flashbacks.
Okay. Let's see. This is okay. Okay, so this is. Okay. So as a was. I don't like what I just wrote there, but the 2 semantic concepts that I got from reading those nonfiction queries, full of really hard-hitting verbs and full of really strong modifiers. Morgan, I wanted the modifier thing to not be true, but it was over and over and over.
Modifiers exist for a reason, Patrick. They need to be
Yes,
used
I know,
sometimes.
because people are like that. People are like people.
You can't do everything with verbs.
Brian, any questions so far?
My
Yes.
preference would be to not use expletive verbs like was ravaging, rather just ravaging, as age ravaged, rather the gay community in the 1980s.
Yeah. The process rather than appearance, that's fine. Yes.
Oh, okay. Because typically in queries, even no matter, I don't know about nonfiction as strongly, but in fiction, queries are always present tense, even though like 80% of books
Nonfiction
are
is different.
past tense.
I'll tell you flat out, nonfiction is different. Yep. Because a lot of what you're writing stuff that has happened, right?
True.
So if you're going to travel, I went to this place. I reread all of them about an hour ago.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Fun fact for our listeners.
I read queries for fun.
Yep. Okay. So first person, good.
Yeah.
The advice I had was to keep the bio to 3 sentences, but I'm happy to beef it up.
So you can be okay. Let me actually give you this in the chat because that is a complete lie. For fiction queries, if you don't have a lot to say, especially your bio can be real short. But in nonfiction, that's simply. I mean, I've seen, as you're gonna see in this thing, you have the bios are really, really heavy. Because if you have, 30 years of writing credits for the New Yorker, and you're writing a book about stuff that you've written for the New Yorker, that's relevant, right? You want to boost that, beef that up because you're selling your experience there.
Okay.
Let me show you, Morgan. Can we go to page 10, please, on this thing?
Sure. I just wanted to point out in nonfiction, it can be up to 100 words, which is half of a standard
yeah.
fiction.
And I've seen, query. Let's go to the thing, and let me just show you this paragraph here. Actually, 2 paragraphs. All right.
Page 10,
this is only one nonfiction query. I only have 14 pages, or 12 pages, even worse. I just couldn't find any. But go down to page 10 of this thing, Morgan. The nonfiction query thing I just put in chat. Can you?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yep.
Yes.
In private chat. And then scroll down to page 10. You see, that's the bio for this one nonfiction proposal. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's massive, right? In a fiction query, I would normally recommend that person gut the thing because you just don't need that much. Like once you've made the point that you can do that, you're this big person, you usually don't need that much. For nonfiction, all this stuff is there to say, here is everything that I've done in this niche, because a lot of memoir and nonfiction, you're selling to a niche audience, right? These are people who care about this one thing really hard, right?
Okay.
So this is massive.
And you're establishing your credentials.
Yep.
Right.
Whereas with writing, we don't care. Tell us the story.
With a fiction, with a novel, it's who cares?
Fiction.
It doesn't. I mean, you could live in a dumpster and write a great book.
Yeah. Nonfiction is still writing. I did not mean to say.
Her query, her bio for her fiction query was she's a housewife in Albany, New York. She posts videos of herself singing and doing cooking tips. Because the book is a thing, right?
Okay.
But selling nonfiction, that would not. That'd be a dumpster fire.
So, have you been a regular essayist and book reviewer for Brevity for a number of years?
Yes.
Can you tell us how many?
For both of them, 2 years.
Okay.
And then I could talk about my my history of leadership within the community, which goes back 40 years. Which
that would be good. Anything with ACT UP or similar organizations would be good to put here as well, because the right agent will know exactly what that is right off the bat.
Okay.
When I was doing research for the thing we talked about in the group today, I kept on seeing ACT UP because you know why.
Yes, I know why.
Yeah.
I know why. I know why. Good old Larry Kramer.
Yep. Okay. Okay. See, I would actually. I'm going to do a note here.
So, Brian, if you want to start at the top and accept or reject the correction.
Okay. Oh, before you do that, one thing here. This thing I highlighted. Okay, so in fiction queries, you want to end a mistake sentence. In nonfiction, I'm not seeing that.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, Brian, if you want to start
on the topic, accepting and rejecting suggestions. For example, this last sentence of this one that we just were looking at with the massive bio, it's what the book has. There's no decision. It's just a fun. It's a through no holds barred interviews with the artist, never posting photos, and extensive selection of public and private art. There's no decision there. It's just a fun thing, right? And that's a gay memoir, basically.
Right.
Here's one where she's giving examples of anecdotes she has to tell about this family. She's giving an example of how cheap they were. There's no decision there, right?
Right.
So that's, the thing to do here is just to, talk about what the story is. It looks like you're sort of giving a chronology of your life here, in which case I would recommend going through it sort of, and providing not just what happened to you, but what your message is. Because there are two things I took away from Jane Friedman's advice here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Memoirs have a theme, unlike an autobiography.
Yeah.
Right.
That runs, but I'm sure you did your research. It just needs to come through without you spelling it out, because I think spelling out themes is like,
you don't want to. Yeah.
I will
you
be
don't need
preaching
that.
about this.
Right.
Think about how and why. That's actually no. That's not. That's for advice books, really.
Mm-hmm.
No. Where is it? Okay. A compelling and unusual story to tell. So you want to play up unusual stuff. I don't know. When I don't know something, I try to avoid guessing because it's always a bad idea.
Yeah.
So I don't know what percent of gay guys in the U.S. Fled for Japan in the 80s. Like that, just
very few.
Okay, that's what I was thinking might be. But again, when I don't know, it's only bad things happen, I assume. So that might be something to play up. Jane says addiction and cancer memoirs are common. I would bet that a gay guy who survived the AIDS crisis and moved to Japan, the Venn diagram of that is rather small.
Yeah.
So, and that's the focus of your book. So that would be something to play up pretty big. What else? There was something. I need to find this thing. I'm going to take this off and find it because I can't focus on it here. Okay, that's not it. Just go to the top. Okay.
So it's good that he mentions that, like, right off the bat,
Okay. Okay. I'm quoting from Jane Friedman here. If your book's purpose is to improve readers' lives or to teach, which I'm not, is it to improve? Is it to sort of entertain them? I don't see teaching.
I don't think
or
it's
improving.
It's teaching. It's the hybrid aspect is teaching, right? Because there's sidebars about the history and culture of queerness, but it's also to teach about that, again, that very narrow Venn diagram of avoiding, the avoidance of AIDS, but with a very odd choice of moving to Japan.
Yeah. To me, the overall thing you're selling here is the intrigue of an unusual life.
Okay.
And that's interesting, but I think that the improving readers' lives is not your focus, and the teaching is not sort of a direct focus. So that's okay. You're not selling your expertise. Okay, that's fine. All right. Okay. And a lot of books are sold that they're not trying to improve anything or teach it. It's just fun things. I mean, David Sedaris doesn't sell anybody. He's not. David Sedaris is not trying to teach anybody anything or improve.
Yeah, I wouldn't put myself on that level of humor.
No,
but yes,
but it's an example of David
Yeah,
Sedaris is selling you on making Fire Island funny.
Yes.
Which is Morgan. Do you know who David Sedaris is?
I'm sorry. Say the name again.
David Sedaris. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. I haven't heard
think
it.
so. I think so.
We talked pretty one day.
Yeah, and dress your shirt in whatever it was, corduroy and lace or whatever.
Yes.
He is the exception to a lot of memoir rules. It's kind of a bad idea to bring up, but on the other hand, I don't know memoir at all, and I don't know fiction at all. So he's the only name that I can think of that isn't Ellen, who could sell a cookbook of just her name, and that would be it. So this is not, but he got
Oprah.
He got big because of the writing.
Right.
Okay, let's see. What's this gonna be? Okay, so this is.
And his platform on NPR, and
Yeah, and then he became a name. Something out of Macy's. I haven't read it anyway.
Oh yes, the Santaland Diaries. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Memoir. The writing does matter. Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. Okay. Here's the thing I was trying to find. I was 2 pages down. Hi, honey. What?
First of all,
No, thank you, honey.
and second of all, Mal's not going to sleep.
Okay. Well, she will.
Yeah. So I just muted you for a moment. Deal with your kids. Okay. I'll let you back in.
That was my one concern. Because we're not drugging them anymore. Melatonin became very popular among parents about 2.5 years ago for reasons that you know because you were paying attention to the world. Anyway, it's natural to assume Jane Friedman writes, the book proposal should discuss what the book is about, which you do at some length. But this is a mistake. Rather than focusing on the content, focus on why this matters right now to the intended readership. Why is it going to resonate? How is it addressing the urgent need? I would go with the resonating more. How does it represent something new and surprising? So I would focus on what we talked about already, the uniqueness of this story.
Okay.
And I would not push so much the coming out process because there are however many millions of those stories.
Mm-hmm.
But Japan and all is a big, rare thing.
Okay.
Can you compare?
Can I cut in? What
Yes.
percentage of the book is set in Japan?
Just more than half.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Then
Thank you.
that goes to my question, which I don't know enough about. This is the thing. Can you compare living in Japan as how openly gay were you back then?
So I was out when I moved to Japan, and then had to go right back into the closet.
Okay. I see. That makes sense. Yeah. I've done that. Not in Japan, but I've done that.
Okay.
Okay. So, and how long were you there?
10 years.
Okay. All right. That's.
It's right here.
One thing you might consider doing. Okay.
Yes.
So this is so half the book is about Japan. I would really, really strongly push Japan because right now you have.
Yep.
That much.
One paragraph. Yeah. One paragraph.
Yeah. So which gives you room because and again these things are longer than fiction queries are. For fiction you want to shoot for 250 words in the pitch, and more 200 ideally. But for this, like the average nonfiction query I read was 400 words, which is basically double that. And again, the bio you want to really puff yourself up. The thing I'm not seeing here is
yes
why it matters right now.
Okay.
One thing you can do to get an idea for why it matters right now is to list anecdotes in the story, and then anything else you have that maybe you didn't think would matter, and see if you find a theme that will resonate today. One thing that you, I'm trying to push this. Okay, so you're in your 60s, let's say. The I don't know what percent. I don't want to do that. My struggle with this is you could try to sell it as a post-AIDS memoir from a generation that got slaughtered by that shit.
Yeah.
But that's not the book. The book is Japan.
No.
And also, we have 80 million AIDS memoirs, I'm guessing.
No, and it's not really an AIDS memoir. It's more like an epidemic memoir, and there's echoes of COVID-19, echoes of the failed response there, and also echoes of the importance of authenticity in a society that is tamping down on that hard.
I see. Okay, that's a better angle, I think. Okay. I'm gonna after this done, when I have a clear head, because I've got so much going on right now. Because I was born in 1981, and I came out started about 19 years later. So this is like a lot. I gotta go through this and then go through the nonfiction stuff again and put together a more comprehensive guide. And also my kids are talking in the background. That's banking between Japan of the 80s and my three children is the split brain here is really, really robust.
It's okay. I don't need all the neurons right now. That's fine.
No, you're not. You're gonna get because I had one moment. Oh god. Anyway, moment my kids will come in and you'll see them before I do, and they'll bump into my arm and my mouse hand is right there. And that's fun. Okay.
I think Patrick is out of neurons at the moment.
It's a Monday. I mean,
yeah.
You know how you get to relax on weekends?
I get to what?
You know how you get to relax on weekends?
I get to
without
what?
kids, you get to relax on weekends without kids.
I get to overschedule myself on weekends.
Okay. Anyway, so
I had game and 2 meetings, and then I hosted a party.
So yeah, you chose that, Morgan. Anyway.
During the live stream.
But Morgan also is as a chronic overscheduler, which made tonight even funnier because she hadn't scheduled it either. Okay. Whatever.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Okay,
I followed up sooner.
Okay. I don't know enough to say on the comp section. I have to relook at some of these things.
I can. The notes that you gave about trying to narrow that down a little bit are good.
Okay, good.
So I can work with that definitely.
Okay, good.
It was originally like 5 comps in the query letter. I'm like,
I have to look at them again because I just honestly like.
Yeah.
I don't read nonfiction because investing in one person like this is a lot.
You already have to do it with your kids. That's
I mean, I have to care about 3 people who don't listen to me. It's
Patrick is telling me that I'm demanding. That I absolutely understand that. No. It's fine. It's fine.
See, here's the funny thing. I had someone a couple days last week come in my DMs and be like, "Hey, so I know you don't do this thing anymore, but can you do it anyway?"
Yeah.
And oh my, the one thing to not ask me to do is
so. I do have a question about the story or the memoir. You get into the nitty gritty. You call out sex. Does it have a lot of sex on the page, or is it looking for? Okay, I was just curious if it was like looking for intimacy and relationship, or if it was like bam on the page.
So like before I go to Japan, I am cruising Times Square. Okay. And I.
Okay. Oh, you froze. Interesting place to freeze.
If you can, I don't. Okay.
Sorry. So, but before I go to
use if you use Stonewall in your thing, I'm not sure how many people have done that. probably everyone tries to, now that I'm thinking of it.
I mean, it's talked about in the book.
Okay.
It's definitely a sidebar. I
Yeah.
was 3 when it happened, but yeah.
I'm not talking about like the actual event. That's
Yeah.
not you. I would not imagine you and Marsha P being close here.
I wish we were, but no.
That would be if you could use that. That would be like I would lead with that sentence. I would just be anything Marsha P and I, because again, the white agent will know exactly what you're talking about.
As Marsha P once told me,
Yeah,
I would love that. Yes. I would read the fuck out of that.
Anyway, I don't know nonfiction and queer memoir enough to say if including Stonewall is passe or not. That would have you read how many queer memoirs have you read?
Upwards. Oh, the coming out books that I read in the 80s and 90s were legion. And then in past years, I probably have read about a total of 20.
Okay.
Just trying to find good. Stonewall was, gosh, the last time I read a book about Stonewall was probably about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Right now it's Gen Z and millennial voices talking about queerness, which is great.
Yeah.
But Gen X is rare on the ground because we're, the focus was on the boomers who all died of AIDS. It was, understandable.
Then maybe we need to put in that like premise sentence, a Gen X memoir,
Yeah, that would be good.
Focus on that
good framing,
that forgotten generation,
Yep. It wasn't an older version of the query. I can definitely put it back.
Yeah. In this case, I'd rather have more information about this thing than less, because more gives me stuff to cut, where I can see some directions for it. Whereas in a fiction query, I want like 4 words in the query at most, and they all better be verbs.
Can we have a main character? Which is a noun.
I'm the main. Oh! You're talking about that? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm telling Patrick he can have all the verbs he wants, but it has to happen by someone to something. You gotta have 2 nouns for every verb.
Okay. Okay, I would not do more than 1 or 2 more noun phrases there.
Okay.
But the idea is that you're setting the stage for.
Yeah. I'll make it work.
Okay, what else will we see here? It was. Do we have?
And reminding people that the closet is not something that you come out of once.
Right, every time. My kids got their teacher assignments today, and I'm thinking of like how to come out to them, or if I do, and I'm so tired of it. Yeah. Because I passed for straight real well, which is a blurs. And one of them has a rainbow thing in her profile, but that you could just be ally, which is like nice, but
yeah.
Let me see.
What state are you in?
Virginia. It could be worse, but it could also be a lot better.
Yeah.
Northern Virginia, so it's not,
Loudoun County.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Right now.
Okay, that's it. I'm wondering how many Dream Rooms of Giants are alive. 60? So 65 million. Let's say it's 60 million. Okay. Z. Gen Z is. Thanks for giving me Australia's number. 14. Okay. I'm wondering. I don't have the data for this. I can't do a certain level of thinking and do this at the same time. I'm wondering if the market for this is stronger among people who are a generation or two below you.
Yes.
Because if that's
my research indicates that would be the case because
okay,
they're
that's
learning
good.
something new. They're learning something new that they haven't yet.
Yeah. Then I would potentially position this as actually teaching them about the history of their people in other places. Because I can tell you, like, I'm writing a treasure hunt book right now, a great treasure hunt book, and the volume of stuff that I'm like, just, it's a portal fantasy of every country that I see. I learned last year when I started researching this about the cut sleeve thing on the bitten peach or bitten pear.
Yeah. In China, yes.
Yep. Yeah, see, you know that, right? But I had to go history of queer people in Japan. I don't know this, in China, all these places are like, oh, there's an entire swath of stuff. How about that? And those books have already been published. They started being published, I don't know, the 50s or something. Because I have them in my book. Because it's a treasure hunt, so it's all a bunch of fun stuff. But I'm 40 and I have a degree in research, and I still didn't know this stuff. So you might be able to position it as something, as sort of an education book. However, I haven't seen it. I don't know what your plan for this. So that might become changing a ton. And also, again, there are books that have been around on that since the 70s. Because I read them.
Yeah, true.
But if people my age and younger generation don't know that, or if they're out of print, because a lot of those gay presses don't exist anymore, or they were bought by whichever. When I looked at a couple of them, and one of them was bought, and then that thing was bought, and then that was bought, and that was bought. It's like Random House Now or something.
Yep.
But finding that book from 1978 in a library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Hi, honey.
Okay. Are we making any more progress here, or do we think we need to do?
I'm okay. I'm going to be live pitching this in September.
Oh, nice. Do you have your elevator pitch?
Yes.
Excellent. Do you mind sharing it with us?
I don't mind. Hang on just a second. Let me pull it up. So this is okay. So this is like a 3 minute elevator pitch. I'll be shortening this down.
Do you have your 2-sentence version?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. I have that too. I have like 4 different versions of this.
So for those who don't know, an elevator pitch is you run into somebody in the hallway. They say, "Hey, so what do you write?" And you give them the 1-2-sentence version. And if they want to hear more, then you give them that 3-minute version. So
the 1-sentence version is: crying in a foreign language, the deity that answered my plea shares with readers both a narrative of more than 20 years in and out of the closet, as well as a cultural and historical journey where queerness and Japan intersect.
Nice. I like it. I don't know what Patrick thinks, but let's give him a minute. He's recovering from children.
All right, please.
So, okay, let's go ahead and hear your slightly longer version while he is fighting bedtime.
Okay, let's see. So
I don't think he's the one fighting bedtime.
So the slightly longer version is: crying in a foreign language, the deity that answered my plea brings the reader on my journey from puberty to Japan in the 1980s and 1990s. The things that I ran from find me anyway. At times courageous, at times self-deluding, I inhabited a world where closets were a professional necessity, where Japanese gay men treat me like just another notch in the tatami, and where earthquakes were merely punctuation. Crying in a foreign language further enhances the reader experience with cultural and historical perspectives on queerness in both the US and Japan.
Okay. So Patrick, we just went through his 1-sentence pitch and then his slightly longer version.
I'm pitching next month at a conference.
So I was super excited. He just shared it aloud. He didn't share it in writing. So and I have
You
unmuted.
there you go. Okay. I can look for pitching stuff. I have fiction pitching.
Mhm.
I have someone an award for one. This was like a month or two ago, but nonfiction. I'm not sure if it's different. And I fiction and nonfiction couldn't differ so much. I'm not sure. I'll have to look. All right, that's good to know. Now that's
So, okay. I think we're ready to move on to Crispy.
cool.
Thank you so much for
Good luck.
joining us. Brian, you can stick around or you can pop out.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm gonna close
thanks.
that and
Thank you
close
so
that
much.
and close this and
And best of luck, definitely.
close this and
Thank you both.
yeah, the luck thing. I'm just so my kids were they want me to be quiet and I can't.
Have you
any-
considered that it might not actually be bedtime?
Morgan, don't say that way. They can't hear you. That's a good thing. All right, give me the link to Christie's thing.
Sure, of course. So, share. Anyone with the link? Copy link. Done. I'm putting it in the private chat.
Yeah, good. All right, let me go to that thing.
Okay.
Cool. And let's transfer that to this.
There we go.
This.
And let's go ahead and add
Well,
it to
sounds
the
very
chat.
strange, but let's just do that. Okay.
I'm just gonna-
We got the bio is absent or whatever thing was. I know I actually this already. You said yes, but you know me and over communicating. Oh, good. I
There we
love this kind of beginning. All right, good.
Okay, so Patrick, unplug your headset.
Yes.
Okay, for those of you listening instead of watching, here's the initial version. Dear Agent, Sarah Abrams spends her days at work fantasizing about two things: shattering the glass ceiling and strangling Nick Jacobs. Or straddling him, she still can't decide. Riling Up Sarah is an 84,000 word adult contemporary romance that combines the sexual tension of The Hating Game with the work stakes of Shipped. Sarah is a data analyst on the verge of burnout. Although she's the real brains behind the company she's been stuck at the past 7 years, she barely makes enough money to afford her studio apartment. She's never missed a deadline except the one to change the oil in her 20-year-old car. And worst of all, she's in love with her gorgeous colleague, Nick, even though it seems his only mission in life is to rile her up. When an assistant director position opens, Sarah is determined to prove her worth and finally get the recognition she deserves. The only problem, Nick has a special in with the new CEO, and Sarah will have to work twice as hard to make sure her promotion doesn't end up in Nick's lap, which, if she's honest, is right where she wants to be. As Sarah showcases her skills, vowing to finally shut Nick out of her fantasies, a staffing shift opens wounds and derails her confidence. To her surprise, she finds an unlikely ally in Nick, who shocks her with a sensitive side he's been hiding under his rough exterior. When Sarah is forced to choose between her heart and her career, she'll have to learn to be enough for the person that matters the most, herself. Riling Up Sarah is equal parts heat and humor, while confronting deep issues such as eating disorders, disparaging fathers, and the desire to be everything you're not. I'm a graduate of blank with a degree in blank. For the past 15 years, I've worked in higher education, most recently as a data analyst. I'm an active member of Romance Writers of America and live in Los Angeles with my husband, daughter, and tiny dictator masquerading as a tuxedo cat. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely. So, let me wave at Patrick. And we're back.
It's becoming Pavlovian.
I'm glad it works.
Okay. My first concern is I think The Hating Game was really big and it's also 6 years old.
Oh no.
But it came out in 2016 and it was a movie.
It's still a really big comp, and also the movie just came out, so I had 3 editors tell me it was okay.
All right.
Really?
That's fine. Thank you for that. Now I can stop worrying.
That's so weird.
They know.
I've been told if something's big enough to have a movie made out of, it's too big as a comp.
Here's the fun thing.
They don't
remember my Coraline story?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For people who don't know, I read an article in which an agent said, "Don't comp to books that have become movies." And then the same day I read a query that comped Coraline, which is a book that became a movie. So it depends on the agent. However, if editors are telling you they like a thing, that's the game. It doesn't matter what it is. If they like it, that's all you need. You might even say, X agent has said blah blah thing about the hating game, just to in case they, because editors can nudge agents in ways writers can't, and that's the business. But you can use that fact.
Yeah.
Just like you can get an agent's interest in immediately. If you say HarperCollins editor Morgan Hazelwood has expressed interest in blah blah, instantly the query becomes that much better. So, okay, I'm not sure if I love this unlimited burnout. It's not this now.
So I do have one question. 84,000 is a little long for romance. Not a lot, but
really?
it usually tops out 65 to 80,000. Different. It depends on the subgenre and everything like that. So that might make it, just because if they're looking for an easy no, that might be something they twinge on. But this
is another thing I keep hearing a lot of different things about. So I heard that you're not going to get taken seriously unless it's over 80.
Really?
I will.
I've heard that in science fiction and fantasy, because you need the world building, but usually not in contemporary. But I mean, I only know what Google tells me regarding romance. But
so right now it's at 83.7. So I don't know if I should round down to 83.
No, that would be lying anyway. And
no, you're totally right on for what.
If you were at 120, I'd have concerns. But
and even if it is to 80K, 4K over is not alarm bells.
Okay,
so it should be okay, I think.
I can't do the research on that because it's just not how my brain works, but I'm seeing a 98, a 97, 104, 86, 99, 88, 99, 99 for adult romance. However, the 90 is 2009, and industries change, so I would definitely look at more recent releases to see if it is any concern. That will tell you what those books sold at. Sorry, that'll tell you what those books ended up at, not what they sold at. If that is a concern.
Okay, so some subgenres of romance can go up to 100K, which I knew for like paranormal and stuff.
Yeah, well, epic fantasy with romance is gonna, break that for reasons.
Yeah, anything with world building has always been longer, but yeah. I'm just gonna look and see what RWA says.
Sticky RWA. Okay, this sentence does too much, and that's a good thing because it means you can this pitch. Okay, this is actually this looks like an okay length. This 220, 217, pretty good. Okay, I think you can stuck at the pencil. I would draw that out more. Because you have a sentence that's giving us 3 facts, and it means they're sort of competing with each other. I would sort of put the burnout and the 7 years sort of closer together, and then do the real brains, and then contrast that with the studio apartment. Because as is, you got this stuck in the past 7 years of the detail in the middle of the thing, instead of showing her, doing the thing. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay, cool. Yay! As my children yell because in the background. I'm fine. I can focus on this easily enough. This is okay. I get okay. Is the show here with the change oil thing? She's self-sufficient especially in a male-dominated field like mechanic. Agree.
No, the
quiet
oil...
bed. What's up? So it's not
the oil change thing is to show that she's like super broke. She has a 20-year-old car.
Oh, okay. That's the 21-year-old. Hold on a second. I gotta go.
Oh, I thought it was partially broke and partially she's on top of things at work, but when it comes to things outside of work, she lets them slide.
That's a good point. She's not good with her car.
because
And it sets up a scene in the book.
Oh my. Oh no, the poor car. The car didn't deserve it. So, okay. So we have who she is and, kind of the stakes right here. I'm not really sure what's going to happen if she does burn out. I guess she loses her job and everything else. Maybe moves home. I don't know if that's an option.
This is where I always laugh with like romance with the stakes, because it's not like fantasy where the stakes are always death. It's like, oh, she's just gonna stay where she's at.
Yeah. It's which is fine. I'm totally, I write fantasy. I read plenty of romance. So let's see. There we go. We've got the barely makes, except the one to change. Yeah. I'm sure Patrick already did this, but I'm gonna do it real quick. Okay, yeah, the word count's definitely within range, so that's good. So Patrick's calming down. Calm the Patrick.
It's not calming down. It said I doing this in 1 second and then going and talking to a five-year-old next. It's just.
So I have a question. We obviously
right?
We want to keep this Sarah-centric.
Yes.
But it seems like Nick is the one doing something in this sentence. Would it make sense to say her gorgeous colleague Nick's only mission is to rile her up, but
mission? No. That's okay. Concept, yes. Verbs, no.
Okay.
Let me just get there 1 second. You gotta do one thing here. Hey, remember, okay, for placeholder, it's okay, but again, you want her to be acting.
Right. Okay.
I would, to emphasize the age here, like jalopy or something, beater, whatever.
It's a Civic.
No, it doesn't matter. Jalopy and beater are both synonyms for bad car. And worst. Okay.
Isn't it worse, not worst, in that case?
Well, we've listed a bunch of things. I'm not sure it matters to the point. Like, that. Yeah, I need this actually.
I don't know if I've ever seen worst by itself.
It's rare. It's. I see it in most. Well, I see it in
at
picture
the
books.
end of a sentence, but not at the beginning.
I see it in picture books to communicate something is bad.
Yeah.
Like the worst thing about Easter is the blah blah or whatever. When someone just,
yeah.
Anyway.
Is he competent? Does he do his work, or does he like slack off and piss her off?
He taunts her, but he doesn't slack.
Okay. How does it open old wounds and derail her confidence?
You know what's funny is I had an entire group of friends working on this query, and my query was so vague. And I had a friend who kept going, this is better, but still really vague. And it's like enhance.
Yeah, you have to show how it's both like everything in that genre, so it'll appeal to people like it, but also why you should read this one and not that one. What's unique about it? And it's so hard.
And people, there are two types of queries with this stuff. There's the zooming out until the Earth is a place with humans, and there's the Jennifer loves her candles. Here, let me tell you about every single one of them.
Yeah, if you zoom out, Fern Gully and Avatar are the same movie, and Pocahontas.
And Jaws.
You have to go really far out for Jaws.
Hey, we've seen that.
You can do it, but
Star Wars and King Arthur. If you.
Oh yeah.
Arthur retellings are a whole subgenre anyway. Okay. We have a whole bunch of telegraphing adverts.
So what's this staffing shift? Is she now covering like reception part of the time or something?
No, it's like hard because I don't want to give away too much of the book because I feel like following the arc, you start with your enticing incident. Yeah. And so the book opens with the enticing incident. There's a new position opening. Inciting incident. Yes. And so you have Sarah and Nick kind of competing for this assistant director position. And then the announcement basically happens halfway through the book. And so I feel like I don't want to like give away the farm with everything happening. So I'm trying to be specifically vague.
So we have emotional revelations in this final paragraph here that you need to build earlier. For this sensitive side to manifest, we need to see the no, actually, nope. I see that. Okay, well, my kids were yelling to that part. The old wounds thing though is is that earlier too, Morgan, or did I miss that?
I'm sorry, what's the question? I was making
the old wounds thing. I didn't see. Hold on, I need to undo this.
There are no specifics because this is after the halfway point.
Right. Okay. For the old wounds, is that mentioned the queer before here, or do we have this new information? Okay. So the farther you want to query, the less you want to have to reveal, because it can't hit as hard. If you begin the query with Jennifer's mother ran away from the family when she was 3, and then the stake sentence is not just to pick between her mother and a prom date. That's, you built that element there. Mm-hmm. But if you say, hey, suddenly her mother shows up at the prom and we didn't know she was missing, that's hard to do because we don't know that there's anything to miss, basically. So, I don't see the old wounds. Okay, we need to see the old wounds. Okay, yeah, I did that, didn't I? So the problem with doing what I do is sometimes you make one little tiny thing happen, and you end up with a 6-line sentence.
I just dropped an alternate first paragraph into the chat. I don't know if this one is a better way to start when you're talking about like building up the stakes.
Okay. Listen, I put there and then first paragraph. Let's see here. Oh, this is reminding me of that one. I even wrote about the passive verbs in this thing. So it's 17. This is reminding me of what the hell? But give me a second to look this up. But it starts somewhere like this. Let me just get there. There we go. Okay, I got it. Morgan, can you put this on the screen? Give it to you in a second.
Sorry.
link to it. It's gonna do the thing for. All right, yeah. Scroll down until you get to the fancy font. Just send the thing.
Are we going here?
Down, down, down. Yep. Look at the first paragraph of the pitch. Abandoned by her. Up, up, up. There you go. Abandoned by her mother and spread by her father. Does that look like this to you? Not that one. Second paragraph. First of the pitch. That's what you have right here. Only she hasn't recovered. Your character hasn't recovered from it, whereas this one has. Right?
What is this?
This is a different query. They got representation, and the youngish female with relationship and family issues reminded me of it. So at the beginning, I think this is this is stronger if you're focusing on who she. Okay, yeah. This is better because the stakes is her choosing between her emotional neglect and her decision to remain neglected so she can make money. And so starting with emotional neglect is good, and you also have that note of the money that she's not getting yet. So I would, this first paragraph is a much stronger open.
You want me to copy paste it back in?
I've got it right there, lady.
Oops, sorry. There we go. Oh, you already did? Okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. Okay.
So my concern about this one was all like the, I guess, sentence fragments.
Pretty good.
Oh, okay.
As long as this is how the book sounds.
It's nice to have some level of voiciness that works in the query that conveys the tone of the story so that they know what they're getting. So we did have a question from the audience.
Oh, good.
From ZL, the question is, I thought the agent query had a blurb and it was short, and the last one seems like a full synopsis. Should my agent query be a full synopsis? No. Synopses and queries are two very different things. A query does have a story portion, and that covers the inciting incident and usually up to the first third, maybe the first half of the story, and usually ends with the decision point where either they do this and suffer these consequences, or they do that and they suffer these other consequences. A query letter is to show both how it's like and how it's unlike other things in the same genre, so that the agent will know how to market it. It can sometimes read like back cover blurb, but those have two very different jobs. But back cover blurbs can be much vaguer, depending. And a synopsis, however, will say every plot point that follows in the story and has all of the characters' names and places and like caps the first time they're introduced, and goes through the entire progression. The synopsis's job is to show the agent that you know how to plot and how to pace. A query is to just entice them. A query letter should be approximately 200 to 350 words, and one paragraph of that is your bio, unless it's like a memoir like we did earlier. The majority of it, you are selling your book. You are selling one book at a time, although there can always be series potential. And so that's what you really, really want to focus on. You want the query letter should be all about the stakes. It should be about the main character, what they want, and what stands in the way. The synopsis is hard because it's a recitation of events, but the query portion is all about hopes and dreams and wants. It's the Pixar "I Want" longing song, and how it and my daddy stands in the way, or what have you, that kind of thing. So Patrick, did you have anything else to add?
I couldn't follow all of that. There's too many nouns. Just kidding. I have seen a lot of people say this reads more like a synopsis, and no, it does not. And here's the reason for that.
Stakes.
It's number one, this queries, these things are not dry. Okay, synopsis is going to be incredibly dry because that's the job. It doesn't have to be voicey. A synopsis is going to be between 5 and 700 words, sometimes longer. This is 217. If you read a query, a good query, and read a good synopsis, I feel like that really resolves a lot of the this looks like a synopsis things for people who don't have the experience. I don't know how to
And I'm just gonna link drop real quick the difference between blurbs, queries, and synopses over on morganhazelwood.com.
You didn't do that then. Oh, you did, and maybe in the public. Okay, yeah. When I read it, I don't see anything that resembles a synopsis. 20, 30 synopses. Let me give you an example of how this would be if it just were a synopsis. Let's take this first paragraph here. Okay. If I were to go to the synopsis, this would be that is two factual statements, right? This is not a query. This is a synopsis. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Hopefully that helped to answer the question. Let us know if you're still confused. We all had to learn about queries from the ground up.
It's a lot. It's a very niche thing. Yeah. And a lot of people think they know a lot. It took me years to get this. Morgan, when you know about verbs, we'll talk. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway,
I do love a good verb. Like nap. Nap is a great verb. And well rest. Oh, wait, no, that's an adverb.
No, it's not. It's an adjective.
Well rested.
Adjective.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky because it's a stasis verb, right?
Sorry, I was trying to mock you and compare and contrast.
And you were using modifiers to mock me. They came back and bit you in the nose.
Went right to sleep.
Okay, I'm doing all this now.
I like that.
Guess what, Morgan?
Is it?
Yay, Christy. Yes, what?
Did the ex-fiance dump her after she recovered and then she gained all the weight back?
She gained the weight back and then he dumped her.
Okay. Okay. Just making sure. It was the end.
Okay. So. Is the eating disorder the old wounds?
The old wounds, I think, is like the no confidence. She's not enough. Doesn't believe in herself.
We've already got that. Okay, good.
So we could just go with, is a kick to her confidence.
Yeah. Placeholder, please. But yeah, fine.
Hey, kick is a solid verb.
It is a kick noun, lady.
The schedule kicks her confidence.
We'll fix it in post, all right?
Bite. Did you send bugs to bite me?
That would be a verb, wouldn't it? 2 verbs in 1 sentence, Morgan. You're learning. All it took was a biological attack. All right. Why are you hiding this thing?
I think it just had a note on it. Contemporary is the subgenre of romance.
Okay.
So I have a question
I have an answer
regarding the genre.
Yep.
With all these other things happening with her character, is this like tiptoeing into women's fiction versus romance?
Okay, so
Especially
here's the thing.
Since it's from her point of view only. Maybe.
So women's fiction on shelves doesn't exist.
I know.
Yeah. So it honestly doesn't matter much. The main difference I know of between romance, which had its moment last week on Twitter. I saw a little dribs of it, and I just didn't want to. It's like Star Wars. I really don't want to get into that argument with people who have way too much time to do that. Romance requires either a happily ever after, HEA, or a happy for now, HFN. If you do not have one of those two things, feel free to market it as women's fiction. Because if you market it as a romance, you will get telltale. It did. That was not even words. Romance is the genre for which I know the rules because it's a big thing.
And it's very codified in romance.
Yeah. That is the difference as I know it between romance and women's fiction. Is that women's fiction?
That's it, just the HEA?
Yeah, and the HFN. Yep.
Okay.
I don't know the book, so if it's women's fiction, then it is. If it isn't, then it isn't.
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
There's an HEA.
There you go then. Romance. I don't know if
I don't think it has to like I think it can be women's fiction or women's lit with a happily ever after, but it cannot be romance without one.
Got it.
Yeah.
I don't know enough.
I mean, if you had the male point of view as well, it would strongly be romance. But if it's just hers, I think it goes whichever way you want it to. So maybe if you find a women's lit agent you like better, you can always run it that way. But
I will say also, I don't know the tropes or expectations or anything else for women's fiction except it's about women and what they do. And a lot of books are like that, and that's perfectly fine.
This seems like, she's coming into her own and owning her past. So it's got some threads that will work with women's lit. Because a lot of it is, throwing off the chains of what society tells you and becoming your own person. But, you do that in many of the romances too. So.
That might be better there. Okay, we need a strong. So maybe placeholder. I feel like we did a better transition there.
Does it seem like when it's rewritten like this, her father berated her into an eating disorder and is still upset she's not a doctor? Do those things feel like they go together in that order? Or do they go together at all in the other order either?
I got the sense, so still upset is a present thing, and berated her is a past tense thing, and we can tell that further because her ex-fiance dumped her because she already recovered. So I'm going chronological there.
Okay.
Which is generally how you want to do these things. You can do it the other way; it's just harder. But I can make a peg fit in a hole if you need.
No, I was just wondering if they both should be in there, if we should just focus on one of the things.
No, I think it's you're showing that he expects her to have a job with prestige and money, right?
Right.
And she doesn't.
Right.
And,
so she's
and Morgan wants to put an adjective in there.
Morgan, step away from the keyboard. Put your hands where I can see them. What?
On the other side. I put it on the wrong space. Haha.
We can see that from what he does. We can know. We can know what she does. He's upset. He clearly is.
No, I think it's better.
Stop trying to be a thing.
Because if you go down to the the part with the metadata, it talks about he's disparaging. So there's an adjective there.
If you want to have an adjective, use something else here. There's a lovely space there. Okay. Now, Christy, By the way, I've known Morgan for what, 6 years now. I talked to her.
Too many.
I talk to her like this because I know that she's fine with it, and I
Yes.
also know that if she ever said anything,
Yeah,
that, like,
no.
you know, hey, too much, I'd shut up instantly.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I just think it's stronger without an adjective there.
Oh, I
Yeah.
do. I
Yeah.
agree. But Morgan and I have this running back and forth. She's trying to ruin the language. I'm trying to save it. He said politely. She likes things that aren't verbs, and she has the point in that oak tree can't be a verb, really, realistically. But you can that you have we already have a modifier there, right? That we can use to show her, you know,
Yeah.
character. We don't need more. Plus, the more we pay attention to him, the more we take the focus off her.
Yeah.
Okay. She's determined. Okay, this wasn't wrong, but we had a sentence that's 6 lines long on the death. And if you read this on the phone at daycare pickup, in the daycare pickup line, at 6 lines on my screen is going to be a full screen for them, and you don't want to have to do that.
My beta readers are leaving notes on my documents right now, and I'm like, ignore, clear notification.
You could even like not look at your email right now, or your phone right now. You could mute your phone, Morgan, right now.
I was clearing what I had the notifications for the query that were actively.
You don't have to respond to everyone immediately, Morgan. You can wait 4 seconds. Are we doing eye close-ups? Is this an eye reveal or something?
I thought you said you knew me.
I do, and that's why I can tease you about not being immediately responsive to somebody with your 11,000 followers.
Ooh, look at that. That's same exact concept. So tight.
Oh yeah, that's me. That's my doing, right?
What's this right here? Is that an adjective?
An adverb, Morgan, I believe is what that's called.
Yeah, that one.
You think you'd know your nouns better, Morgan.
I thought I did. Clearly,
really, I mean, this was your thing. You took that noun test and everything.
I've done too much editing in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
I got through 91,000 paid words in 3 weeks.
Okay. If she's honest is very British to me. Is that something where I'm wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. So I think we just had her lap is where his lap where she wants to be, and now we are showcasing her skills. I would suggest we maybe use a word or two to indicate which kind of skills. Because I have no concern whatsoever writing a sex positive character. All right, I do not. I mean, I have sex in my book. They have a wedding night. This is the thing. But if this is her skills with spreadsheets that have nothing to do with zippers, that might be something to clarify here.
Spreadsheets versus spreadsheets?
No, this is all about her work.
Right.
Her work skills. Her spreadsheet skills. Her
and it's spreading it between the sheets or something like that. I mean, you get that, you know. Wow. 7:13 to 1. That's something. Okay. Anyway. Is that gonna be there's a baseball game. Anyway, back to you all. There, okay. Okay, fantasies. Okay, so there's a sense here found finally that suggests to me that she's tried to before and hasn't worked. But I don't see that sense before here, and especially in the she wants to be in his lap doesn't tell me that she's been trying to get rid of him any sense of anything. So that's.
I mean, if she's honest, usually means confessing to herself, even though she really probably shouldn't.
Yeah, but again, she just thought about his lap. There's no, she's acknowledging it, but there's no sense that she's trying to stop it. It's not like something versus, I can't think of it right now.
Okay, then wait, what about just vowing to shut Nick out of her fantasies?
Still too strong.
She's got to focus. She's got to kick out the fantasies and focus on getting the job.
Yes.
Can you get a business acumen thing with the seals first?
Sure, yeah.
Whichever, I don't care. I would go placeholder, but I don't know enough about her job because we don't know what she does yet.
I think it's in the I
It
took
was
that
in the
line out
old
now
first
with the new
paragraph.
paragraph. Yeah, so she's a data analyst.
That's right, yeah.
Right.
I picture the Lego movie Unikitty going business with the keyboard.
Maybe that works. Is it what assistant? Okay, so it's assistant director for. Is it an analysis?
It's a quality improvement firm. So what they do is medical practices sign on with them as a third party to do their quality control.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So assistant data analysis.
Quality improvement.
Okay.
And then
I'm trying. Okay. Agents might not know those are the same thing. So
okay.
can we use a word? Can we use one phrase for both places? So that
I was thinking that we wanted to avoid repetition.
No, that's actually good in this stuff.
Okay.
Yep. So whatever thing, I mean, but like literally, if you have, she's battling her depression, blah blah, then she blah blah depressive episode later. That's you scaffolding that narrative thread there.
Okay.
Yeah, that lesson that your fifth grade English teacher told you about not repeating things is kind of alive for these because you want to make it very easy for the agent to follow along.
Okay.
Yep.
And if you've done any public speaking or voice, that sort of thing, they tell you to tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them.
Right.
We don't quite need that in one page, but it doesn't hurt to hint at it.
I've seen careers do that, but mostly pre-2016, I think, when things were easier. I mean, you saw the careers that I had that got a request, and that was a dumpster fire of epic. Either that, or she was telling me to comply with her submission guidelines. I'm not sure. I don't care. It doesn't really matter. It's just really. Anyway, okay, skills. Okay, so after we get that data analysis thing squared off, need this thing here done, and then that's tolerable. A staffing shift lacks agency.
Maybe something like
No.
Okay.
That might work. It's as a placeholder for what you can do. I mean, the specifics in this case are secondary to the the concept there that you're pairing the gaps there, which is showing her agency, which is what you want in a query. Okay, we don't need to surprise because that's gonna happen anyway. Okay. Go through that, see what you like, don't like, and then we'll work from that on the next draft here in seconds or so. We've got this is pretty thoroughly marked up. This no, not that one, not quite. That's a different. Does this remind you of that oil query we did last year?
I mean, in
the suns.
Fact that there's,
or is it just the same subgenre of women in business?
It's the same subgenre of women in business.
Right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has the same target audience.
Okay.
Although I think that no. Just because there's a lure doesn't mean that it was actually period piece. It was still modern.
Yeah.
It was just a little weird because the locals are also tenants because of how England works.
Whatever. Okay. Christy?
Yes.
If you
go through and accept and reject all the stuff.
I'm sorry?
Go through and accept or reject all the green stuff.
Got it. I'm reading a clean version right now in Word just because I can't really see it with all the stuff
That's
on
fine.
it.
That's why we say to clean. Yep.
That's why I accept and reject line edits before I do revisions so I can see what's happening.
Okay.
Even
can see
though
better,
they
but
the other way around. Because
I think something got a little bit lost with the markup.
Okay.
That will happen.
That's why we go in circles.
Go with many rounds of because 2 passes on these things is I mean
Question, why are we deleting the 2 things up here?
Do we need it? Or we told it immediately after?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Fantasizing and strangling. It's obvious, so I say it.
I think everything in this paragraph looks good.
Air 5.
I'm gonna put data skills. No, yes.
Whatever.
Okay?
I mean, it's your book, but that again, just so we can repeat it in that paragraph below.
Got it. Okay.
And then ideally, we can also put it in the sentence.
Okay, so I think this is where we have like the first mishap here.
I think I'm like.
Have you noticed 0 catechist attacks today?
No, I don't look at cats. But I'm happy for you that your whatever thingy is the thingy that you like the thingy to be, ish, maybe. I also haven't noticed that you have suddenly developed an addiction to marmosets because I don't look for that. And your screen, your view is a little high for. I mean, if you had been scratched by a cat on your wrist, would I be able to see it? Nope. Are you proud of something you did with Catechus, Morgan? Do you want to talk about your cat? Are you that person right now?
I don't need to. He just walked by and decided not and did not choose violence for once, and I was happy.
That's good. Mom. That's good. That's strength. Yes. Yes, that's good. Yes. Reward that with some tuna fish. Yes. Tuna fish.
I mean, don't you like it when your children walk past and don't each other and don't choose violence? Does that happen?
That's a nice thought. I like that.
The dream.
My children not being irritating every second of every day. What a wonderful world it would be.
Do they go back to? Oh, right. You said you met with the teachers.
No, I learned the teachers exist.
Oh, okay.
One of them is about 6 years old. That'll be fun. The other is old
The
enough.
student, not the teacher.
The teacher got her master's degree about 4 seconds ago, which makes her effectively 7 years old. Her brain isn't fully formed yet. That's going to be fun. But our district is so hard up for warm bodies in any department that it is hiring unlicensed people. Yay, competence!
But all of your kids' teachers are actually licensed, right?
Oh, are they? That's good to know.
No, I don't know
I
who
looked
they
them
are.
up. One of them got her master's 4 seconds ago. I'm old enough to be her father. I don't want to say that, but I am. Another one is a little older than me.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. Well, if she just got her license, that means she has a license.
Hooray, progress. Another one of them is also about 7 years old. And the fourth was working in Texas as of 5 years ago, and I assume that means something good. This is what happens when you starve public goods and services. Same thing, by the way, is true of healthcare. If you starve those public bodies, people will leave because they won't be making enough money, which means that people suffer. If you like this, good.
You know what would really help small businesses and people trying to make
Medicare for all?
Yes.
Yes.
Because
do you know who presidential campaign I volunteered for 2 times in a row? Yeah. One of my friends was a pledged delegate twice. Yeah. Back before I was good at queries, I was working political data, and I have some interesting stuff there. For example, I can predict the winner of the next presidential election without even knowing who's running, because it doesn't matter.
Should I cry now or later?
Yes. Well, yeah, but you were crying anyway. Basically, to make this into a very short thing, the yield curve predicts recessions with absolute accuracy. If it's inverted for 2 full fiscal quarters in the year or two before a presidential election, that's the game.
You'll flip.
That was what tossed Trump, not a pandemic, not anything else, not Russia, not whatever else. That was it. Same thing that tossed Obama, that tossed Hillary as the nominee. Had nothing to do with emails. I promise. The areas that Trump won in, were areas that were in a recession. And people said no to another Democrat. In the past 120 years, the only election in which this was not an absolute deciding factor, not at all, was when Dwight Eisenhower was on the ballot, and it was Dwight Eisenhower versus who cares, because it's Dwight Eisenhower.
I've gone through and
okay.
All right, cool. I'll be there in about 20 seconds.
The only thing I'm seeing is there's like 3 sentences that start with then.
Yeah.
Like then,
then.
then.
And I can fix that. Yeah. But
okay.
The issue a lot of people have, they don't realize this, is adverbs telegraph something's about to change. And so what happens is you raise adverb the change part, which means you miss everything before that. You want to keep it in the now as much as you can. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, then that's where I was. Yep, I can fix that.
Okay.
That's the thing. All right, let's see here.
So there's actually something in the book that she does that's really good. Should I interchange that sentence where it says she saves the client 25%?
Okay.
Everything in this needs work, so fix it if you can.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
One thing you might have missed me saying is that the 25% thing was basically placeholder for her doing a good thing at work, and the process of her, building herself as a person.
Okay.
And the Zens, I'm gonna wait for you to do that. And I'll fix my 18 Zens in a row.
Oh, like fix it right now.
There you go.
Okay.
Yep. Do the thing, lady. That's why we have you here. Not just for your sunny disposition and your ability to not be non-full like Morgan.
Okay. Oh.
That's a good kitty. Sorry.
We're gonna simplify that. Okay, I see how to do it. System that reduces. Is that accurate?
No.
No.
It has nothing to do with money.
Oh, okay, well, that is. I'm trying to make it so that, see, patient introduces the entire sphere of this is a healthcare thing. So if I can make it sort of vaguer than that while still being specific about the effect of it, then that keeps it focused on her and less on, this is an industry that she's in. Because to this point, she could be working in solar power, she could be working in, refrigeration, she could be working in, bat making. We don't know.
So is it important though for that part to be specific?
If you build it there, it's going to stick out unless you put it other places, and I don't think you need it, honestly.
Okay.
It's an office romance. The specifics of the office are secondary to the existence of what's her name? Sarah. There we go. Sarah, that's the name. I was thinking Jenny for some reason, and Nick. But your goal here, I think, is to make this seem like it could be any office, because that way you're pulling in women who work in an office at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas if you make this about, the drama of racing to get the blood tampering thing.
So what if we just, instead of patients, we change that to clients?
Okay, what is the effect of the system? How does it benefit people at work?
I mean,
it's a medical thing.
Yes. Patients told us that. You said it didn't save any money, right?
What's that?
Okay, she analyzes data, right? How does this help analyze data or some other thing at work?
So like pick something else you mean to focus on?
To focus on the improvement aspect of it, not the process language of it. For example, if I found a way to save 30% on groceries, the 30% is the important thing.
I thought you had with all the
I've saved 90% on groceries, lady. But that's another story. I was just coming with something random. If I found a way to show two shows on my TV at the same time to please two of my kids with one screen, I would be improving my screen child happiness factor, right? That's the result of it, right? The process of me getting like a cable or whatever is less important to me, at least.
So what she does, like what she says throughout the book, is she's like a problem solver. She like fixes stuff.
Okay.
So I'll give you a background and maybe you can figure out what the thing is. So he's the fiscal analyst. She's the quality improvement analyst. So medical groups sign on, and she's like a third party. She goes through medical records and looks for weak spots in the practices.
Okay. I have an idea. Okay. What's the noun there?
Processes. So it's actually by 40% in the book.
Ooh.
Wow, that's huge.
She's very good at her job.
Process. Let's see if we can make it even sexier. Can you fill in the noun there?
Did you just ask for a noun?
Yes, I did. Because I've already got a
okay?
verb in have.
Are you sick?
See, normally the noun would be a verb, but I have the have there, right? Also, I'm being kidnapped.
It happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have kids.
Yes, that is. It's. I have been renditioned for hide and seek so many times. My solution is to stand in the shower in the dark and just relax for a bit with my eyes closed, because that's the only better looking in the bathroom. If you ever need a nice, calm hiding space that won't hurt your elbows or your knees, Morgan, the shower is a good place. You can't sit down. Well, you can, but it's not ideal. Christy, can you get the noun there?
I'm trying so hard to figure this out.
Okay, that's fine. We can leave it for later. I'm not going to write this anyway. This is just changing words. That's the allying. Is that okay? Christy, is the allying thing the stuff with the comforting her with sensitive side, or is it something else?
Yes.
Okay. Yay.
I thought so, that we should get rid of that. I kept toying with that.
Yep. It can be hard to. It's one of the things where you read it and you're like, no, I don't like it. And then you come back an hour later. Oh, why did I have it the? And you put it back in an hour later. Why did I took that out? I need to take that back. And every single time you change it, and then someone else comes along and like, why don't you just change the wording? And you're like, why? See, nouns are no, that's not a noun, that's an article. Adjective modifier, technically.
I mean, the wrong verb is also a problem.
But at least it's doing something.
To who? With what?
A character who is the lone noun that is allowed in the entire query. Everything else must be a verb. You remember my pretend verb pitch idea? It was I hammered it so much I had friends thinking that it was real. I scheduled it for April 1st. It was it's funny if you're us. And if you're Christy, you're like, why did I agree to do this?
We appreciate your patience with us.
Okay, I love the comment here where it says opens old wounds and it says we didn't know there were any.
Well, now we know because you put in a thing about all the, eating disorder stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. Yes. That's old Patrick. But again, a noun phrase.
are
Was a problem.
beautiful, beautiful things.
That was another noun. Well, that was actually predicate adjective. Predicate noun.
Okay, quick question. Going
Quick
up to
answer.
the comps for a second. Do
Yep.
they have to have the authors, or is just the titles enough?
So I have been okay. So first off, if you Google shipped book, you're gonna get UPS and Amazon stuff like that services for shipping a
it.
book, right?
So I didn't
So-
know if I'm supposed to put the author in parentheses, or how do I like list that on there?
So I would go with sexual tension of names, the hating game, mistakes, and mistakes of names shipped.
Perfect. And then is it like last name only or first and last?
I would go first and last. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Great.
They'll probably a good agent. I would expect to know the hating game was written by whichever person, and
Right.
shipped. I'm less sure of just because I don't. This is not my genre. I don't have a genre. I hate everything equally. But like it's an easy adding one word.
Mhm.
Just for clarity is a pretty good idea most of the time.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm following. There's so many rules.
There are, and they all disagree with each other.
Yeah.
I have found in reading queries and reading agent interviews and reading tweet threads, every agent has a different rule, and they don't know this, and they all think that their rule is the only rule that that is or could be. It's a whole lot like personalization in that they have no idea what they're all doing, and they're all different.
And they say one thing, but don't always actually do that.
Yeah, so you kind of hope-ish.
Okay.
The good thing is that in most cases, the comps will not kill you.
Okay.
The bad thing is that you never know when they will. For example, there is a highly notorious agent. I just use a modifier and an adjective, Morgan. I hope you like that.
I'm very proud.
There are books that she doesn't like, and she doesn't tell you which they are. But she says, if I see a book, you comp this book, then I'm not going to request pages, even if I like the career, because I'm just not going to like the book. She knows that without even reading it, because she doesn't like that particular book. She doesn't tell you what it is. So all you can be is wrong.
Got it. Okay.
It's aggravating, but that's the business.
Yeah.
The only exceptions is noun thing with the names might be like, let's say that you have an agent who wants something like shipped. I would say that agent would know that Hoffman is Angie Hoffman.
So let's say I'm looking at that, like Angie Hoffman's agent. Would that person be like less inclined to want me because she's already repping that similar book, or more inclined because she's repping a similar book?
I have seen a lot of queries get rep with, because you represent this book, I'm querying you because it's similar to it. Or something like your one of your clients is Rebecca Patterson, a name I made up. I loved her book, The Devil in the Tulip Field. My book, Maris has a gold retriever, is blah blah blah, and similar to it in this way. And then what you have is you've sold this book, let's say 3 years ago, right? Well, here's another one like it. You can sell this book because you just sold this other one like it, right? Assuming the market hasn't changed, which it can change in 4 seconds.
Right. I
would go with that definitely. But I would also, a lot of people do something like that, or do something with like they have an MSWL that matches like 8 things the agent wants, but it's not the right way, and so they get a form rejection on a full, which hurts. They're like, what did I do wrong? And it wasn't exactly what that agent wanted, because you can have a book with mermaids and dragons and sea lions and peanut butter, and it won't be the combination the agent wanted, because you can't communicate that clearly. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I should make a list of the ones that have clients language like that. There are several. I think they're all, some of them are a little older. But the concept definitely works. As long as it's something that they only sold like 3 minutes ago. If it just debuted, you'll want to wait a minute, because you haven't proven that the market still wants it. And there are agents who will reject stuff because they just signed someone like that, and if they have two of them, that's kind of useless to them.
Mm-hmm.
So by having two of the same prom dress, like, okay, we're not going to go with identical looks here, so. All right. Okay, there you go.
So I was thinking back for the whole thing with the work process thing. So
Yeah.
you create something that automates something. Is that good? The word automate?
Yes. By post automates having yeah, this automate is enough of a. Yeah, I work in technology news most of the time, and automation is a big thing, and I would expect anybody who is repping workplace romances to be familiar with contemporary leaking over into stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is pretty clear.
So what happens? So it talks about it nearly has it, but what happens is because she creates this automated system, it brings it up from 64% to 100%. And because it's automated, it's like in the electronic medical records, because it's automated, it can't move on without checking the box, basically. So I don't know if that's a better way to say it.
That's more detailed than I think we need.
That automates a process.
Okay.
Bringing the error rate to 0 or something, or like reducing the error rate.
There you go. That could happen in any office.
Okay.
Fabric cutting or belt making is fabric, or window, whatever. I mean.
Okay.
Because risk avoidance is an office in any industry. There's more than like 6 workers.
Okay. Is this like too vaguely stated though?
Automates process.
It sounds a little vague, like somebody's describing something if they don't know what they're doing.
Workflow process?
Oh, I like workflow process. That automates maybe instead of process, automates a workflow.
No, workflow to me is more of an adjective there.
Right.
Fortunately, it's sort of in the middle-ish, and so any vagueness is going to get sort
Isn't
of lost.
Workflow a noun?
You can use most nouns as adjectives.
So would it be creates a system that automates the workflow?
A workflow process.
Okay.
Unless it's the entire thing. Is it the entire thing?
I mean, it's a subset, and that's.
Is this it or not?
I mean, I guess not. It's like a subset of like the overall thing.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Now I see it that way.
Yep.
Okay.
Sometimes somebody else types something, you're like, I'm not sure, and then you see it like, okay, I guess, yeah, and then.
Okay.
Brains are funny that way. It's happened to me many times, especially with Morgan's nouns. If I mention them every minute.
Reducing the error rate to 0, is that like too specific for the query?
No, I think that it may be more words than we need. I think that the important thing was getting the idea there. Eliminating.
Okay. That's good.
Errors in that. That's place. I mean, that might be worse though. Maybe. I like eliminating better than reducing.
Right.
But the rest of it I'm not sold on yet.
How about eliminating costly errors?
Is there a costly error though?
I don't know.
Okay.
No, I think that's worse.
I think you don't need the in that process.
Yeah.
Since we're saying automating a workflow process.
Right. Yeah.
We cut an adverbial phrase. Morgan, you lost a modifier. Go team. You didn't see my did I?
I occasionally edit them out. I don't always add things. So.
There.
Okay.
It's a system that automates wait. Are we beating around the bush? We're saying she creates a system that automates. What about she automates a workflow process, eliminating errors?
Yes.
Okay.
That's very verby.
See, having cut a modifier, you're not cut a verb.
Hey!
See you.
I did a round of edits and I looked for that, and sometimes the whole phrase around that could go away.
I see you.
So what if it said when she automates a workflow process, eliminating errors, she vows to
focus on what she does and then the ramifications. Keep us in what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
This just reads like a little choppy to me. She automated.
Yeah.
Is there a process that she's doing when she decides to stop fantasizing about him? Is she walking back from a meeting?
Okay. I think I have it here.
So
that day is a little
spoiler alert from the book, but what happens is when she does this, she gets the notification she's getting the job. So
that's kind of a huge thing, yeah.
And then the rug gets pulled out from under her, and like at the last second, they appoint somebody else.
I see. All right.
So maybe it should say like when she automates the workflow process, she gets the promotion she's been working for. But see, I don't want it to like, yeah. And I don't want it to be like I said, like giving away the farm too much, and then it's like the whole book is revealed in the query.
Okay, hold on. So
because that's like the halfway point you said.
Yes.
All right. So this paragraph here, does all this happen before she gets the job?
Because
if not,
so the staffing change is she doesn't get the job. But all the stuff that happens like in that one line that basically like gets her the job.
So this leads up to that point, but doesn't get us.
What about this tweak? She creates an automatic workflow process, eliminating errors, and she's sure the promotion is basically hers.
I would take out basically.
Yeah, sure. I don't like modifiers either. See, I knew you were smart, Christy.
I don't know what the voice of the novel is. Some novels that would have fit in the novel, sometimes it doesn't, you know? So.
How about she gets word the promotion is hers? Because it's actually verbal and they're telling her she's going to get her written offer and it never comes.
I don't know that we need to be that specific. I know we've been talking
I like it because it gives us an immediate result.
Okay.
And it gives us the thing she was going for, like that's the promotion.
Yeah.
So the only thing I'm like thinking here though is the way that the book happens. She's like more into Nick after she gets word that she gets the promotion because now he's not her competition anymore.
I see.
And so now that line doesn't really work with shutting him out of her fantasies.
Yeah, that's not true then, is it? So what decision does she face then here?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay, that's fine. That's a good answer because line doesn't help you, right? So do we need to rewind some in the book to a different decision point because the stakes are kind of a big thing for this stuff? And if it's a romance, the decision has to involve him, right?
Right.
If you want to go women's fiction instead, you can forget about Nick.
No, I don't. I definitely don't. Because so what happened was I wrote this book. It was women's fiction with a romance subplot. My editor said your romance voice is much stronger. Focus on romance. And then I went way too flip the other way and it became very insta-love. So then I had to dial it back and now it's like creeping back into women's fiction again.
Yo.
Yeah,
The
this book has been
line.
burned down and rewritten like 7 times, completely like developmentally changed
wow.
multiple times.
I have a
Oh.
friend who did that. She's got an agent now, so good luck. She said that she, not counting minor revisions, she has rewritten her book 31 times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have
that's Shannon.
I love the word compare documents feature. It's just all red. Like there's like hardly
Yeah,
any black left.
I've
It's
had
all
that
red.
before. Yep. My first page is that very thing. I had to rip it up starting yesterday. Like, okay, I cannot use this entire half page of description of how anxious she is. So goodbye to this person. Looks like she has the flu.
Yeah.
I mean, I cut a prologue this weekend.
Good, Morgan. That's good. That's progress. Was it a lot of nouns?
I mean, it was only a page and a half. It
A
wasn't the
lot of world
longest
building that you
prologue.
didn't use then for 4 chapters after that?
I'm sorry,
People-
what?
A lot of world building you didn't use for 4 chapters after that with all your ducks sitting at the pond?
No. I
have-
instantly put all of that scattered throughout the first chapter.
So you didn't cut, Morgan. You pasted.
I made sure that the prologue was not out by itself.
It's not as bad as it could have been.
Right. And as I said, it's only a page and a half. It's not like it was endless pages. It wasn't like a 10-page prologue or anything. And when we say page and a half, remember, you start a third the way down the first page. So really it was about a page. Like 5 paragraphs.
Okay.
I'm being
So
mocked.
sorry.
It's okay. It's not your fault.
It's Morgan. You tried to defend of a prologue. I mean, you didn't cut the prologue. You just put it in the first chapter. That's
I did the
hard.
exact same thing with my book. Chapter one started as a flashback, and then the editor goes, "Oh, you should make this a prologue." And then they said, "No prologues. Make this chapter 1." And then chapter 2 starts 1 year later.
I was taking one of my kids through the library books, and I showed her how these 2 books in the child spy genre, subgenre, whatever, they both have a first chapter, and then 8 months later, second chapter. That's a prologue.
It is. It's
But
wearing
she
a
gets
little
away with
disguise.
it because she calls it chapter 1, which you can do, and I've seen it happen. That's okay. I mean, people have a mental block for the word prologue, just like they have a mental block for the word country music.
That's true.
Some
Which
country
is
music doesn't
ridiculous.
need to be tossed in a vat of acid. Okay. Some of it. Most of it is very, go away forever and die. But some of it is okay-ish.
You want to know why country music is part of my life?
No.
Because for
No.
4 years
No.
I commuted,
The no part
and
of
my option was country music or listening to talk radio with people chattering away in the morning, and I could not deal with people in the morning. Sorry.
Okay.
Patrick took off his headphones just so he couldn't hear me.
Okay.
Are we back to queries and
Yeah.
not talking about the
So
benefits of country music?
I'm looking here where it says, but then a staffing shift opens and then it says it lacks agency. I totally agree. I don't know what else to put in there without giving away too much.
Like,
Okay, so
that's what kicks her feet up from under her.
The thing that I would hoping we could do here, show somebody she can't control doing something she can't control. That's showing her losing power in the situation. Make sense? So she's done this thing to get power, and then someone else she can't control does the thing that makes her lose power. Make sense?
So then, like, say, like the CEO gives her promotion away to someone else.
That'd be great. Yep.
Is that giving away too much in the query, though?
I don't think so. Put it in. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. My normal suggestion for anything is do it and we'll find out. I had years ago I worked at a newspaper, and
it eliminates error sheets. word that the promotion is hers, but then the CEO takes her promotion away. It seems like it's like too quick.
But that's the point of it. It's supposed to be shocking, right?
Okay.
That work?
Yeah.
Okay then. Cool. I had a guy I worked with a long time ago who would read me sentences from his articles. This is a newspaper. And I realized about 3 seconds into the first time, I can't do, editing when I hear something. I have to see it.
Yeah. You are not an auditory.
So I see it. I can do when I see it, right? We have it as I'm in about a week or so, a 10th person. I help get an agent or a publisher. So it works. But I don't think I've ever corrected the sentence Morgan has spoken, even if it was full of nouns. I might have faulted it for being full of nouns, but what did you? You literally, Morgan, I just saw your message on Facebook.
You're welcome.
All I have to say to you.
You're welcome.
That's not the answer I was expecting for it.
So I think it actually looks really strong now. Like I thought I came in really strong, but I think that this became like really strong.
203. We cut 14 words from it. Yeah.
Okay, so for those listening at home, I'm going to read it aloud so people can hear what the final version is. So, dear agent, Sarah Abrams spends her days at work fantasizing about shattering the glass ceiling and strangling Nick Jacobs or straddling him. She still can't decide. Riling Up Sarah is an 84,000-word adult contemporary romance that combines the sexual tension of Sally Thorne's The Hating Game and the work stakes of Angie Hockman's Shift. Sarah's never been quite enough. Not for her father, her ex-fiancé, or her boss. Her father berated her into an eating disorder and is still upset she's not a doctor. Her ex-fiancé dumped her after she recovered from her disorder and gained all the way back. Her boss is the only person at the company who doesn't see how valuable her quality improvement skills are. And her gorgeous coworker, Nick, exists purely to rile her up. Then an assistant quality improvement director position opens at their company. Sarah is determined to prove her worth and finally get the recognition she deserves. But Nick has an in with the new CEO. She'll have to work twice as hard to make sure her promotion doesn't end up in Nick's lap, which, if she's honest, is where she wants to be. When she creates an automatic workflow process that eliminates errors, she gets word that the promotion is hers. Then the CEO yanks it out of her hands, derailing her confidence. Nick shocks her by comforting her with a sensitive side he's been hiding under his rough exterior. Now, Sarah must choose between his lap and her career while learning to be enough for the person who matters most, herself. And we left the rest the same.
This reads like successful careers in this genre and age range. So
okay, I was just gonna say, is rough exterior too cliche? Can we just say the sensitive side he's been hiding? I just don't know if that's too cliche or just cliche.
I don't know enough, honestly. I mean, I think it's okay. The contrast is beneficial rhetorically.
Right.
I don't, and I if I try to search my companion right now, I'll tell you right now the file will crash.
No, that's fine.
Because I've got like 2 video things going on, otherwise 3 video things actually.
That's fine.
I was actually thinking about this, and it's not really a rough exterior. He's really like bantery and taunting. So I was trying to think of something
class
that was
clown
more...
exterior.
No,
I got what is it? Joking exterior or
we can just take it out and leave it at hiding.
Okay, not wrong.
His charismatic facade.
Yeah, no, not charismatic there. Easy going.
No, I do like I do like the word facade, but
Easygoing facade.
what about callous facade?
That's
Okay.
something else then. Yeah.
Is that better? Like, is that good?
Callous, if it says the book, then yeah.
Okay. I'll be back in just a moment.
Did you want to put some of the book in here, Chrissy, so we can check it out for stuff like info dumps and verbs?
What's that?
Do you want to put a page of the book in here so we can check it for first page issues?
Like right now?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to. I mean, if you don't, then don't. Never read first pages. Okay.
I do have to put my daughter to bed.
Okay, yeah. I put mine to bed 2 hours ago. 3 hours ago. Yeah. They finally are shutting up now, so that's good.
Let's see.
The process for me takes half an hour, if they're willing. Which tonight you saw them not being willing.
So I can leave this in here if you want to keep going on it, but I kind of do have to go.
I think that's good. Yeah.
Okay. How much longer is your show?
14 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Or do you want me to drop it in the Google Doc?
Yeah, please. And then you can just listen to the recording of the remainder of the. Yeah.
Got it.
Morgan,
so this is the first chapter / former prologue.
Okay.
All right, cool. I appreciate all your help so much, and the query is so much stronger.
It was already pretty good, is the thing. There weren't huge issues.
There
were not huge issues. Yeah. This is where it started was top, I'd say 25% of what I've read. And now if I didn't know better, I would honestly say it was something they got read.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah, I've read a lot of queries. 450 successful ones, and I've edited many to success, 36 so far, I think.
Yeah.
And more than 1,000 initial drafts.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
That's, last year I did 400. So, but this does not, this is good in ways most queries are bad, which is good. And that made it allows you to work. As I didn't have to just mass delete anything.
I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. This looks really strong.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Yeah, thank you so much.
Morgan, we're back soon. We'll get to this. Okay.
Okay.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great evening, and hopefully everybody sleeps through the night.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
So,
yeah, have a great night.
Oh,
bye.
Bye.
You're tired? What?
And that's another week of Queery Helpline with Patrick Hopkins and your host, Morgan Hazelwood.
Let's put it that way.
So on one of my cameras, it's one way. On the other one, it's the other way. So
no, I keep on getting the hands wrong. This is really, really. There we go! Hooray! It only took me a year to learn how to work my hands. I'm clearly an adult.
Okay, that way. Haha.
Point like an Egyptian. We're getting into silliness. You're tired.
Okay.
Aren't you?
Yes, we are sleepy. We are tired, and your kids finally stopped bugging you.
Yeah, they have not made noise recently. I don't think they're dead either, so that's good.
Knock on wood. So
that'll make noise.
Okay. Well,
right.
We'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, same bat time, same batty channel. Same batty time, same batty channel is the way that's funny.
Thank you all for coming. And yeah, bye.